From WSLS, this is 10 News at 11, working for you.
Now at 11, the Roanoke County Zoning Board says an area nonprofit can stay right where it is. What leaders at the Southwest Virginia Wildlife Center are saying tonight about their decision.
A proposal to add housing in Blacksburg.
And so we have this housing need, and here's a location.
But others want to pump the brakes why they don't want the development.
And emergency crews respond to dozens of overdoses in a single park.
It seemed like people dropping every place all over the green.
Why police say they've never seen anything like it. But first, we begin with breaking news. Police have issued a missing endangered child alert for a Virginia teenager.
Chilhowie police say this girl, 15-year-old Paige Allen, is missing. She is believed to be in danger.
She was last seen in the town of Chilhowie. If you have any information, please contact police.
Now to a story we've been following for you all day. A local nonprofit gets to stay right where it is after a decision by Roanoke County officials tonight. An appeal was filed over years-old zoning for the Southwest Virginia Wildlife Center of Roanoke.
But the county argued that the appeal essentially lacked merit, and then the board agreed. That means the Wildlife Center will not have to move. 10 News reporter Shane Dwyer joins us in the studio tonight. Shane, you were one of about 150 people there tonight.
Yeah, John and Lindsay, a packed house. The board chairman says in his 40 years on the board, he had never seen anything quite like what happened tonight. At some points, it felt like we were in a courtroom as lawyers argued their sides. And after that, the board decided this was not its place to step in. It's all about taking care of what's holding you, or in this case, your wings, back at the Southwest Virginia Wildlife Center of Roanoke. But it's hard for them to help when their own wings feel a little clipped.
Having neighbors that moved in and now want to be concerned has been very concerning. Why? We've been there, we've been doing this.
The center wants to expand, building a new place for birds to spread their wings. Two neighbors say not so fast, and then said the entire center shouldn't even be here. But Wednesday night, the county attorney's office pumped the brakes on that.
The zoning administrator issued the determinations, and when it is appealed, we discussed whether it was an appropriate appeal, and we consider, as we do in every instance, whether the person appealing has a right to do so.
The county argued the Seymours, Creasy's, and Mavers aren't impacted in a big enough way to challenge it, and the County Board of Zoning Appeals unanimously agreed.
We really got into a lot of discussions about land use policies, which really was beyond our purview. That's up to the Board of Supervisors and the Planning Commission to handle those types of issues.
The neighbors gave no comment after losing. Wildlife supporters could have filled 2 of these rooms to capacity and got quite the schooling on a topic that usually flies under the radar.
I don't care to learn much more about this, but I know we've got a lot more hurdles to go through with the Planning Commission and the Board of Supervisors, but hopefully it won't be as traumatic as tonight.
The planned aviary still needs a special use permit before it can be built. That needs approval from the Planning Commission and the Board of Supervisors. That first of those meetings will happen September 4th. In the studio, Shane Dwyer, 10 News, working for you.
Right now, the contract between a local union and the Yokohama Tire Corporation is set to expire in less than an hour. According to a tweet from a union member, there have been protests inside the Salem plant since Sunday. Today, several shifts and retirees were lined up down the street in front of the tire plant. The tweet says that the workers are protesting the, quote, lack of movement from the company.
Developing in Martinsville right now, police are investigating a shooting on Maple Street. Police arrived and found a person suffering from a gunshot wound. They say 2 people in white masks ran from the scene. If you have any information, call police. An Amherst County man is facing charges after police find explosive materials in his house they say could have been used to make a bomb. Police arrested Ronnie Lee Ramsey after finding the materials during a Monday night welfare check. The Amherst County Sheriff's Office called a Virginia State Police bomb technician who took the materials out of Ramsey's house. Investigators detonated them at River Edge Park yesterday morning. The sheriff says he didn't know what the materials were yet. He says Ramsey lived alone, was very cooperative, and Ramsey wants the community members to know that they are safe.
The FBI is searching for a man they say may have information about the sexual exploitation of children. Agents are looking for this man. They say he's around 40 years old. We don't know a lot about him, but he was seen speaking English in a video involving a child last October. The agency believes that he has critical information about child victims. If you know who he is, please call your local police. And tonight, there's still no word from the Vatican more than 24 hours after a Pennsylvania grand jury laid out decades of shocking sexual abuse and cover-up in the Catholic Church. Pennsylvania's Attorney General has called it the largest and most comprehensive report into child sexual assault in the Catholic Church. However, a top clergyman is asking parishioners not to lose their faith in the church. The cardinal, faulted in that grand jury report, spoke Wednesday during a mass, asking people to help the victims, many of whom are speaking out tonight. Natasha Chen shares their stories and explains how the state may be changing laws to help more victims.
What do you tell an institution that teaches morality but has none?
Victims like Sean Dougherty are speaking publicly about the 300 Pennsylvania Catholic priests who have been accused by a grand jury of sexually abusing more than 1,000 children.
I am at peace. I'm a veteran of the Navy. I felt obligated in the 90s to speak up.
The report says priests were raping boys and girls, with church leadership protecting and even promoting the attackers.
I don't understand how an organization has more say and more sway in the state that I swore to defend than I do. So there's a bill in the Pennsylvania State House being debated now, and that could bring justice.
Because of the state statute of limitations.
Almost every instance of child sexual abuse we found is too old to be prosecuted.
But not every instance. One priest in Greensburg pleaded guilty to sexually abusing a 7-year-old boy. And the only other case?
In Erie, we charged Father David Polson with sexually abusing one boy for 8 years. He actually made the boy go to confession to admit his sins.
The Pennsylvania House will vote next month on whether to eliminate the criminal statute of limitations. The grand jury also proposed a civil window law, which would allow older victims more time to sue for abuse they suffered as children. I'm Natasha Chen reporting.
Montgomery County Board of Supervisors get an earful from people opposing a townhome project. Blacksburg LLC is the firm proposing the 34-unit complex around the intersection of Clay Street and Cherry Lane. County supervisors agree there is a need for more housing in the area, but some of the concerns for the development include traffic and the possibility of the homes turning into student housing.
There's no doubt that we need more housing, especially around Blacksburg, but whether or not this density is the right solution for this parcel of land, we don't think so.
The Board of Supervisors will make a decision on the project at its next meeting. Some are calling it the final piece of the puzzle. Development is in the works at the Hieronymus building in downtown Roanoke. It's been vacant for more than 20 years now. But now the plan is to transform it into a mix of apartments, restaurants, and other businesses. This isn't the only development in the works in downtown Roanoke either. In the past few months, we've told you about plans to revamp the historic Fire Station 1, the Liberty Trust building, and the old Cornerstone building in the market area.
It creates a lot of additional foot traffic. You know, the more offerings we have down here, the more restaurants, the more retail, the more events that we have, it just drives people down here. And a lot of people that maybe haven't been down here in a while see everything we have to offer and want to come back again.
Certainly a lot going on. Right now, the Hieronymus building is under contract with a Richmond-based real estate development firm. The sale is expected to happen by the end of September.
There's heat on the Hill after President Trump revoked former CIA Director John Brennan's security clearance. Brennan's calling the move an abuse of power, but White House spokesperson Sarah Huckabee Sanders read the president's statement saying that it is part of his constitutional responsibility to protect classified information. Brennan says the president's actions are part of an attempt to intimidate critics of his administration, and some lawmakers agree.
To me, this had an eerie memory of an enemies list.
This was not a national security decision. This was a political decision.
Brennan says that he was not contacted by anyone from the White House. Instead, he learned about it on television. New tonight, a federal judge denied President Trump's effort to block information it used to ban transgender people in the military. The American Civil Liberties Union sued the administration on behalf of a dozen transgender people who are currently serving or want to serve in the armed forces. The ACLU says the ban violates constitutional guarantees of equal protection and substantive due process, singling out transgender individuals for unequal and discriminatory treatment.
More than 24 overdoses in a small Connecticut park in just a matter of minutes. First responders converge on the scene this morning where roughly 30 people were treated and taken to the hospital. Right now, police are waiting on test results to find out what that substance was that caused such a dangerous reaction. They think it was synthetic marijuana called K2 that was laced with something.
Narcan didn't appear to have an effect initially. Higher concentrations of it used in the emergency room proved effective.
The fire chief says his department responds to these types of calls every day, but they've never seen so many overdoses in such a small period of time.
Tonight, the CDC is monitoring a massive measles outbreak that's spreading across 21 states and Washington, D.C. So far, 107 cases of the virus have been reported from the first of the year through July 14th, and the CDC's mid-year measles report is higher this year than the past 4 years. Most of the people who got sick had not been vaccinated. The World Health Organization says the illness is one of the leading causes of death worldwide, still killing more than 400 children a day. Well, a lot of smokers say they don't want to quit because they can gain weight and it just feels like they're trading one health problem for another. But a new study finds that you're still better off in the long run if you give up the cigarettes. The Harvard-led study found that compared with smokers, even the quitters who gained the most weight had at least a 50% lower risk of dying early than those who kept smoking.
Hundreds of Hokies move in for the start of the new year at Virginia Tech. People staying on campus started getting there early, even showing up at 8 o'clock this morning. Some rolled up with the basic necessities. Others had a lot packed into their cars. Dozens of Hokie Helpers lended a hand.
I'm from Warrenton, Virginia. I'm a freshman. I'm excited to be here. I'm worried the dorms are going to be small and all my stuff won't fit because I have a lot of stuff.
Well, if your student is planning to check into their dorm, those Hokie Helpers will be on hand to do some of the heavy lifting until Saturday. An effort to modernize schools across the Commonwealth starts with a tour. Today, State Senator Bill Stanley toured 2 schools, each in Danville and Christiansburg, to get an idea about what schools need. Earlier this year, Stanley formed the School Facility Modernization Subcommittee. It's made up of 8 state senators. The goal is to introduce legislation at the next session in January.
We can do this in a 5-year plan, and we'll have resources, financial resources that will be available, hundreds of millions of dollars, without ever raising anybody's taxes.
Tomorrow, the subcommittee will meet at Virginia Tech to talk about the effort.
Still ahead tonight at 11, we are back in that summer storms pattern tomorrow. Chief Meteorologist Jeff